Welcome engineers to Race Have a Problem. Today's problem is getting through the My Team Season 1 review video. A little bit of a difference this time. I'm just going to review Season 1 because I've already played it. I didn't record it, but looking at the R&D section there, you can see we started off quite high for Bahrain. And Mercedes took a strong hold in the lead. Aston ahead of McLaren. Ferrari, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, and then Williams and Haas smack bang on top of each other. And now the race results for Bahrain. We had an okay race. I don't quite remember it fully. It was like 4 months ago now. But we got off to a good start in both championships. Safety car happened midway through that race, which allowed us to be quite ahead, close to the front. We were behind Tsunoda, and then something happened to Tsunoda. He dropped off the pace massively. We were able to get him, and we were ahead of Verstappen, Norris, and Bottas, but obviously with their quicker tyres and that, they easily got us and quicker car. But first race done and dusted. Red Bull lead the championship by 3 points to McLaren. And Mercedes, Lewis, if I remember correctly, span a couple of times, maybe just once, at turn 4, which is why he's down in P11. But yeah, not much to say about Bahrain. Spain, R&D looks quite the same. We upgrade, but not as much, meaning Alfa Romeo get a little bit closer to us. Ferrari get a little bit closer to McLaren and Aston Martin. AlphaTauri and Alpine pretty much look like they're on top of each other. And Williams look like they pull away from Haas as we head into Spain. You may be able to see I've clearly blocked out the rest of the season, just to avoid spoilers later on in the video. But Spain, not really a good race for us. I don't remember quite what happened, but I think we had a really, really bad strategy. And yeah, likewise, Lewis, Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc both not having a good strategy either. Both of them still yet to get off the mark. And same with Pierre Gasly in his AlphaTauri. Meaning that Mercedes are still behind McLaren in the constructors, but this time it's only by 5 points. But they are still, with Bottas winning and getting fastest lap, they are only 13 points behind Red Bull as we head in to Monaco. And yeah, I've just realised that I've probably made these sections a little bit too long, but you know, that's how things go. McLaren doing well at the beginning of the season. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo both quite high in the drivers. Same with Lance Stroll, but if you look at Stroll's points, yeah, it's just because the big drivers haven't been getting that many. Anyway, Monaco, we move closer to Alfa Romeo as Alpine are overtaken by AlphaTauri. Mercedes extend their lead at the top to Red Bull plateau, and McLaren behind them increase in R&D performance and go ahead of Aston Martin, who not quite plateau, but close to doing so. Ferrari gain right up to be behind them. And yes, Williams and Haas down at the bottom, plateau as well. Monaco, we had a really good strategy. Pit lap 1, and then catch up to the guys ahead. Hopefully, by then, they pit, so that you can also pit, but you will undercut them. basically using clean air to your advantage. And who used their clean air to advantage? Valtteri Bottas, who's in the lead and drivers now, helps their team, Mercedes, close in on Red Bull. They are now 2 points behind, with Red Bull on 85 and Mercedes on 83. Lewis Hamilton finally getting off the mark with a podium. Charles Leclerc still yet to get some points. Got quite close in this race, P11. Pierre Gasly, close as well, P12. And our team down there, Noah's Ark for the final 8 positions in the race. But yeah, you can stretch it on a one-stop start pitting lap 1 because of how bad the AI are overtaken at Monaco. But not forget Monaco, Azerbaijan now, round 4. Mercedes plateau, same with Red Bull. No upgrades for the front 2 teams. McLaren stay ahead of Ferrari, it is now, as Aston Martin drop behind with the lack of resource points, resulting in upgrades. Alpine go ahead of AlphaTauri. Alfa Romeo pretty much go ahead of us, and Haas go ahead of Williams, making Williams the worst car on the grid. And Azerbaijan was won by Daniel Ricciardo. For the first time, we got into Q3, just like last year's game in 2020. We got into Q3 for the first time there. Don't really remember much of this race. I think it was just a boring one. I do remember at one point Russell was in the top 10. Could have got Williams's points for first time in a long time, but unfortunately misses out. And I think he retired. That's why he's down there at the bottom. Tsunoda getting the fastest lap, but not getting a point for it because he was outside the top 10. And unfortunately, our team dropped down to 8th in the constructors, but we've got a good lead on Alfa Romeo, so it's not much to worry about. Lewis Hamilton, with a good result this race, coupled with a bad result from Perez, allows Mercedes to take the lead in the constructors by 12 points, and Hamilton only now 21 points behind the top McLaren driver, and Perez another 2 points behind, with 23 points behind Ricciardo. Going into Canada then, Red Bull make a slight upgrade, closing in on Mercedes. Aston Martin, I think, now go ahead of McLaren. Ferrari closing in behind. AlphaTauri go ahead of Alpine. And same with Alfa Romeo and us. We drop down a position as Williams gain P10 once again, making them no longer the worst car on the grid, ahead of Haas. Both of them yet to score any points, but that's pretty much expected from them 2 teams. Canada, not much to report. Fairly boring race, as Valtteri Bottas takes fastest lap behind his teammate, getting a 1-2, extending his championship lead over Verstappen, over a race victory now, so Valtteri can pretty much sack off the French GP. 157 points to McLaren and Red Bull's 111, 111 for those people. That one, yeah. Ferrari, I've accidentally not ordered a championship. They should be 6th ahead of AlphaTauri. Leclerc once again getting a bad race and unable to score any points. So yeah, Ferrari back in run driver, it seems. Should be back in Carlos Sainz. Fernando Alonso being very consistent. He's in 7th in the drivers. And let's see if he can continue that form throughout the rest of the season as we complete the first quarter of the season. Back then for France, Red Bull really close behind Mercedes now, as Aston Martin get ahead of McLaren, stay ahead of Ferrari. Well, I'm saying stay, I don't actually know. I'd forgot it was that far ago. AlphaTauri move ahead of Alpine, it looks like, and Alfa Romeo keep ahead of us. Slow Boy Grand Prix, like the name, I do. And Haas get back ahead of Williams, so very close battle between the final two teams on the grid. And the way it's going, it looks like we'll be joining that battle soon, or they'll be joining our battle, and Alfa Romeo will be leaving it to go do better things. France, don't really remember it. Leclerc gets first points of the season, and still doesn't move that high in the Drivers' Championship though, because Tsunoda gets 4 points, making his total 12, equal with mine and his teammate Pierre Gasly. But Ferrari move up. Well, actually, Ferrari stays 6th in the constructors, as Mercedes extend their lead. It is now 201 points. Perez in the drivers not doing too well, finishing behind Leclerc and Norris in that race, meaning that he stays 6th in the drivers, 20 points behind Norris, and 23 points behind Daniel Ricciardo. But we're still there in P13. Antonio Giovinazzi still ahead of Matushita, our teammate, and ahead of Schumacher, who is ahead of the Williams team, which crucially means that Williams are 11th in the constructors. Heading into Austria, top two teams stay where they are. Ferrari gain, Aston Martin and McLaren plateau, keeping their order. AlphaTauri and Alpine too close to call, as Haas close the gap to us, and Alfa Romeo extend the gap to us. Williams keeping the margin, so hopefully we shouldn't be the last team on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix. And once again, I don't remember this Grand Prix. Must have been a very boring one, because it is a 1-2 for Mercedes, 3-4 for Red Bull, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 for McLaren Ferrari. It's pretty much Noah's Ark. Wow. And yeah, I see a pattern emerging. Wow, okay. Must have been a very boring Grand Prix. Bottas extends his lead now. It is 50 points to Verstappen. Hamilton closing in on Verstappen ever so slowly, as Perez still is behind the McLarens, but closing in that gap. We stay on 12 points along with the AlphaTauri boys, and meaning we stay 14th in the drivers and 8th in the constructors. Hopefully Matushita can get some points to try and help us, although the F2 drivers don't do that well. And yeah, crucially, now both Hasses are ahead of Williams in the drivers and therefore constructors, and with a 19th place, meaning they need to get points or get quite high in a race. Great Britain, our home GP. Hopefully we get some home luck. The two top teams extend their lead at the top. Ferrari plateau, meaning Aston Martin and McLaren close in. Alpine, Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri are too close to call. We're pretty much overtaken by Haas, and as we plateau for the third race in a row. And Williams is closing the gap ever so slightly as we head into, for the first time this game, our home Grand Prix. And I don't remember this one either, but I could be messing this one up with 2020, but I think we had a tough race with the Alfa Romeos. As once again, 15th in the drivers, as we now lose some points to the Alpha Tauris as they both finish in the points. Leclerc once again outside the driver's points as Ocon retires. Schumacher beats Matushita in the race and therefore is now ahead of him in the drivers. And luckily for my points finish in Bahrain, if that wouldn't have happened, we probably could have been beaten by the Haas at this point. And obviously Alfa Romeo, because they have a point, and we wouldn't have if I didn't get points in Bahrain. But to be fair, I don't know where I would have finished in Bahrain if I didn't finish in points. But, yeah. Anyway, I'm waffling as we head to Hungary next for the 9th race of the season. Hopefully we can do well in the R&D. Do we bring upgrades? Slightly. Mercedes and Red Bull extend their lead once again. Mercedes keeping on top of Red Bull. McLaren only just take the lead of Ferrari, and then Aston Martin follows suit. Alfa Romeo quite a bit far behind them. AlphaTauri pretty much on top of them. Alpine a little bit back behind them, plateauing into Hungary, as Haas extend their lead on us, and Williams closing the gap behind us. So it could be a tough race in Hungary. Nope, we get our first podium of this game, and what a race it was. We qualified just outside the top 10, like P13 or something, started on the mediums, and we just did quite well. We stayed behind all the soft runners, and then a safety car happened, it was so late in the race that it meant the soft runners pit, meaning we were leading. Stroll also on the mediums behind us, and we extended that lead as much as we could whilst the leaders were getting stuck behind the back markers, and it allowed us to finish P3 for the first time on the podium, and it put us level on points with AlphaTauri and the constructors, but we're behind them on points. We're behind them in the constructors. Maybe that can change as we head into Belgium, but we do get boosted to 9th in the drivers, as Perez is still behind the McLarens after a retirement. Belgium, the 10th race of the season then, means that Mercedes extend their lead only just ahead of Red Bull. Ferrari and Aston Martin jump ahead of McLaren, and Alpine crucially take the 6th spot ahead of Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, and then Haas, Mercedes and Williams plateau at the bottom of the grid. Unfortunately, the lows are very low when you get them, but coming off a high from Belgium, it's a very low. Don't remember this race. Mercedes, not McLaren. Mercedes get a 1-2 again in the season. Boost Bottas onto 200 points and then 34 ahead of Lewis Hamilton now, as Perez is now not doing too well. He gained 7 points on Lando Norris, but loses 4 to Ricciardo, as Tsunoda gets quite a few points, meaning that AlphaTauri do go ahead of us in the constructors, and we stay in 8th, but due to Alfa Romeo only being 5 points, we've got quite a buffer to them, even if they lose, do score consistently. But Haas and Williams, nowhere near the points. I don't think they're getting off 0 in this season. But Leclerc, once again, not doing too well, as struggling down in P13. See what the second half of the season brings. Brings us no luck as we head into Netherlands. We become the worst car on the grid as Williams overtake us. Mercedes extend their lead massively. Aston Martin close into Red Bull. Ferrari and McLaren. Alpine, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo keep suit and don't upgrade. Haas don't upgrade but keep ahead of Williams, as we also don't upgrade but we go behind Williams now as we enter the second half of the season. See if Netherlands can bring us any luck. No, it didn't, as Mercedes once again get another 1-2. Valtteri Bottas being unstoppable in this season, looks like he's going to win it, as we drop to P13 in the drivers, but stay P8 in constructors because Alfa Romeo didn't score any points. Matushita gets ahead of both Haas's and the drivers. I don't know when that happened because it's obviously not happening now because he finished behind both of them in the race. Williams not doing too well. Hopefully they can do better in the next couple of races for their sake. Hopefully they don't do too well because we don't want, them to challenge us. But it'd be nice to see them improve. But I can say that about every team. Lando, nice job to getting 100 points. But yeah, there's pretty much only one driver on the entire grid that I want to do well, apart from that one driver, but that one driver, pretty much same choice for everyone. Italy next, and yeah, we're still the last car on the grid. Red Bull are closer now to McLaren, Aston Martin and Ferrari than they are Mercedes, so it looks like Mercedes' dominance is to continue as we head into the final 9 races, as AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo and Alpine keep suit and do not upgrade. And yeah, fairly boring for a couple of these teams, but let's see what Italy brings. It brings us some points, as once again Mercedes get a 1-2, McLaren, Verstappen getting a P3, Ricciardo retiring, Tsunoda once again getting outside the points and getting fastest lap. Ilott joins the grid after Matushita said our car was too bad so he didn't want to drive for us. No jokes. Alfa Romeo get another point as they close in on a 23-point gap. Don't think that's going to happen by the end of the season, so we should be fine. Same with Perez and the two McLarens, especially when he's only finishing 7th and getting only 6 points per race above the McLarens, and that's if they don't finish ahead of him. He only gained 2 points on Daniel Ricciardo this race. Lando this race, gained 6 on Ricciardo this race. So I don't think he's going to close in. I think it's going to be a P6 for his first season in the Red Bull, unlike real life where he helped Max win the World Drivers' Championship. Anyway, Russia. Let's see what goes on here. Red Bull keep ahead of the chasing pack as Alpine close in on them now. Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri stay put. Haas, Williams and our team upgrade slightly, but it's not enough to change the order between us three. And yeah, it's not looking too good in terms of the R&D progress if we want to win a championship in the following seasons. But, you just got to take it as it comes. And at the moment, it's not going that well at all. Oh, I remember this one. We got our first mechanical retirement, but I parked it because That's what Jeff tells you to do. But the game didn't realise that I parked it, so it disqualified me for stopping on circuit. And that makes me think, what if I actually didn't need to retire? What if I could have just continued? Too late to go back now and change it, obviously. But, you know, it's just the way it goes. As, once again, Williams and Haas nowhere near the points. And Perez far away from the McLarens. But Hamilton gets one over on Valtteri this time. But he's 41 points behind with, I don't know, 7 races to go. It's not looking good for him, but it is looking good for Mercedes in the championship due to Perez not getting good results. But let's head into Singapore now. This race I do remember. McLaren and Aston Martin go ahead of Ferrari, but close in on Red Bull. Alpine plateau as Alfa Romeo get ahead of AlphaTauri finally. Williams get back ahead of Haas for the first time since the Canadian Grand Prix, and so maybe that might give him more of a chance to get some points in this race. And I can tell you that this race was not a very good one for us, as we finished P20, 1 lap down after causing a safety car and given Williams points. So we've inadvertently given Williams 14 points. Luckily, we had 29 points due to our podium and P4 earlier in the season, so they don't overtake us, but they do overtake Alfa Romeo. And that's crucial money that can be spent on facilities and building a better car for 2022 season 2. Once again, going to be another video like this. And yeah, Perez not closing in on the McLarens. Yeah, he's not really doing too well in his first season for Red Bull. Yeah, very much polar opposite to real life counterpart. But once again, I like to think that this is a alternate reality where all of this does actually happen. And yeah, Perez not doing too well in that reality. Wonder if he'll keep his seat. Mercedes extend their lead on Red Bull, who now look like they're equal with McLaren and Aston Martin. Ferrari, their gap to Alpine has shrunk, as Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri plateau. Williams stay ahead of Haas. We close in on Haas, so hopefully in the next few Grand Prix we will be able to get ahead of them, as we look forward to the final quarter of the season after Japan. And I'm pretty sure the Constructors is wrapped up now by the Mercedes, but I'm not quite sure. Us down to 15th, not really doing much difference. The Haas get ahead of Ilott, so Ilott's still last in the drivers. We're still 8th in the Constructors after no points for the final 4 teams, nil points. Although Kimi Raikkonen only had to overtake Fernando Alonso, a fellow Ferrari driver, fellow past Ferrari driver and fellow world champion, but he couldn't do it to get 1 point, so he stays behind his teammate in the drivers, and he stays behind the Williams, of course, and obviously us, because we're on 29, and yeah, we're still ahead of Ocon in the Alpine, weirdly, but Leclerc and science showing that they're where their team should be as we head into the final third of the season, that quarter. And USA. What goes on here then? Mercedes extend their lead as Red Bull get perilously close to Aston Martin, but extend the gap over them, and then back to McLaren. The gap extends again. Ferrari and Alpine, battle between them two, as Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri battle once again for a position further down in the R&D. It does look like we beat Haas, but Leclerc coming good once now. Too little too late in the season, you could say, but wins the US GP, and we almost got points. I kind of remember this race. It was really hard to beat my fastest lap once I'd said it early in the race. But Alpine getting some good points still means that Ocon is behind us in the drivers, but Alpine now on 69 points in the constructors. As Red Bull, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a foregone conclusion, as Crofty would say in the game. As Bottas down in 17th. No wonder Leclerc won. Lewis does get fastest lap though, and does close in the gap to Bottas in the Drivers' Championship. It is only 10 points now. I guess that just means Bottas has been losing to Lewis in every race when they're getting 1-2. But Red Bull now losing to McLaren and Aston Martin in the R&D, as we still are behind Williams, but still ahead of Haas, and not much else has changed going into Mexico and the final 4 races of the season. But let's see if we can get some good points in the final couple of races. No. Instead, Lewis Hamilton closes the gap on Valtteri to only 2 points now going into the final 3 races. Ricardo and Norris getting 10 points themselves to get 318 behind Red Bull's 342. Red Bull getting some good points, but not doing too well in the constructors. Doing well in the drivers with Verstappen, not so much with Perez. Maybe he'll be fired. But Ocon still behind us in the drivers, as Russell beats us in the race. Well, obviously that don't make too much of a difference because we're not on the same amount of points. Russell is 23 points behind us. And I've just realised that they pretty much mimicked what happened in the Hungarian GP in real life, where they both got points for Williams, but with Latifi gets more points for the first time in ages. That's cool. Anyway, final 3 races of the season, and it means R&D time. Red Bull stay ahead of Aston Martin and McLaren, but it's really close. Same with Alpine and Ferrari. Alpine making big gains on them this race, as Alfa Romeo get ahead of AlphaTauri as we do the same, but to Williams, we are now the 9th best team on the grid, and we demote Williams to 10th. Haas stay in 11th, like they have since their home GP in USA. Hopefully Brazil can go well for us. I like driving around Brazil. It's the origination of bolted Bobbi, but unfortunately the bolts of my car could not withstand the bolts, and the car retired. Yeah, second DNF of the season, of this game, and it comes quite early, quite soon after the previous one. With Verstappen getting fastest lap, as his title challenges are over. Bottas now is 5 points behind Lewis in the drivers, as the constructors is sealed. It's not sealed with Red Bull and McLaren, 30 points between the two. Aston Martin and Ferrari quite close to each other. Alpine still on 69 points as Sonoda gets a point over them. I didn't realise that. That meant that AlphaTauri were on 69 points in the previous GP as well. I've got like the awareness of I don't know. I've got the awareness of a brick at this point. Anyway, let's see if we made any gains heading into Australia. Mercedes lose ground on Red Bull as Aston Martin and McLaren stay put pretty much. Alpine get ahead of Ferrari and they both close in on Aston Martin and McLaren. Alfa Romeo close in on them too as AlphaTauri close in, but not as much, meaning they are behind them still. We close in on AlphaTauri, but not as much, as Williams almost lose out to Haas in the penultimate race. They might do so going into Abu Dhabi, but first of all, Australia. We get a single point, but it's not really well deserved. We fought so hard for this single point, but we shouldn't have got it. We were where Raikkonen was at one point, but we were also where Ocon was at one point. So this race, we shouldn't really have done this well, but it don't really matter. As the penultimate Grand Prix is looking really spicy for the championship. 20 points between the two drivers as Lewis Hamilton retires and Valtteri Bottas gets the full 25 points. Let's see, can Lewis get that back? But I don't think so. Kimi Raikkonen gets ahead of his teammate in the drivers, now goes equal with Latifi, but Latifi stays ahead due to what happened, due to Latifi getting his points in one race, Raikkonen in two, I think. And Alfa Romeo are behind Williams by 2 points going into the finale. Ilott behind Schumacher. I don't know what position he would need. I assume it's greater than 16th. But the championship R&D ends off with Mercedes ahead of Red Bull, ahead of McLaren. Aston Martin take 4th. Ferrari take 5th in the final row of the grid in the points. Alpine behind them, really close, so it could be about between the two. Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, and us really close, so we could be we're on the edge of the points on the 7th, 8th, and 9th row of the grid, and then Williams on the 10th row and Haas on the 11th row. Let's see if that looks like it. Nope. We get 11th, just behind Ocon, who finally beats us in the drivers. He did so in Australia. Australia is really difficult for the player in this game, but the championship is won by Valtteri Bottas. Hamilton needed 7 more points over Valtteri. Valtteri would have had to drop 4 more places. Didn't happen. Perez finally comes good at the end of the season, but it's too little too late. Good enough for them to stay ahead of McLaren, but that's going to be all for Season 1 review. Season 2 review will be out in a few days. 2 days, in fact, should be. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll do the same for Season 2. Maybe for Season 3, it depends how far I've got. But, like, subscribe, with dislike, ring the bell, notifications, comment what you think I can improve on, Share with your friends because friends have common interests. But until next time, I'm going to race engineer. Until you races have common engineers can't think, I'm going to race engineer.